This is you showing up on 2 cameras.
Alan.
Sorry.
Mute. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me get this screen pulled up here. Everybody can see my screen? Yes, you can, because I'm seeing it too. So welcome to the first virtual student assembly. This is our first try, so bear with us. We are probably working out some kinks. We have realized that we do have a lot of kinks going on because there are people that were using the wrong codes to get in. So we're just going to keep on trucking and keep on rolling. And you will notice that if you can see me, you can see my screen. You can also see me on video. That's because I'm using 2 different devices to actually stream on, so I can watch the chat feed as well. So just want to welcome everybody to what's going on. It's Turn Up Tuesday, and it's a party, and we're just going to have a little fun. So these are just some of the rules and guidelines, just so you know. This is being recorded, mainly so that we can show this to students who are not able to join live. So we want to make sure that everybody can hear. So if I can get everybody to do me one huge favor, I can't control who's not on mute, but there is somebody with a lot of background noise, and it's going to be difficult for us to talk over. If you guys can mute yourselves, that would be awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. That is amazing. So if you guys have any questions or you have something going on, sorry, you'll have to forgive the dinging noises. Are people that are trying to get in that are not within the network. So I'm having to admit them as I'm going. So so those of you who say that you can't see, can you see the presentation? No, you cannot see the presentation. Why can you not see the presentation? Because I can see it. That's weird. So let's try something here. I bet you I messed up, and this is me. So let's see if I fixed it. That might be the wrong one. That is the wrong one, because I wasn't on that screen. Now you can see it. Thank you. See, I told you we're still learning. So this is our first time. Just as much as you guys are learning, we're learning just as much. So as I was saying, if you guys have questions or you have something going on, let us know in the chat box. Miss Shannon, Mr. Johnson, myself, we're all here to kind of run this thing, and depending on who's talking, we might be answering back and forth. So here's the agenda for tonight. Here's what we're gonna cover. So this is the welcome. So we're about to get done with that. We'll do some updates. Mr. Johnson's going to help us provide that. Miss Shannon is going to help us with some awards. We have a little trivia game for you guys, and then we'll have a question and answer, because I know you guys have burning questions that are just deep in your heart, and you're trying to figure out how we can get all those questions answered. So that's kind of our plan and our agenda. And I am ecstatic to see that there's at least 24 people, minus my 3 screens that are being showed. So there's 21 people. I'm ecstatic. So without further ado, Mr. Johnson, it is up to you, sir, to take us to the home front on the updates.
Okay, well, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? John?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, good. First of all, I just want to really start off by saying to those students that are on, I want to assure you that your instructors, the staff here on center, has been working diligently. And I know some of you have met with your instructors doing the distance learning. And we just want you to know that you are definitely not alone. We're in this thing together. It's been a challenge for you, and it definitely has been a challenge for your instructors, your RAs, and all the staff on center, from your counselors. So I just want to just kind of start off with that. Those of you that have been working hard, completing your assignments, those things are definitely greatly appreciated. And those that have been contacting your counselor, contacting your instructors, we appreciate that, and we advise you to continue to do so. Just a good update in regards to what's going on. I did want you guys to know that we're working on a plan. The plan will be submitted on Friday, and we will definitely have it finalized on Monday. And this is our preparedness, readiness to reopen plan, okay? And we have to send that off to DOL, which is the Department of Labor, by next Friday. And so we're getting that information on to Mr. BUDZYN so we can get that out, so we can get that approved, just to give you a heads up on that. We're currently working on a training schedule. How will the training schedule look once our students start returning back to center? I did talk to Mr. BUDZYN today, and I met with Mr. John and Ms. Shannon and several other staff as it relates to what will your schedule look like, okay? What is the expectations of the students once they return? And I just want to reassure you that you know, the center is taking all the precautionary measures in terms of making sure the center is in a deep sanitized cleaning. That has been going on ongoing. So when you guys get back on campus, you know, the center will be definitely clean. There is going to be some changes as it relates to students going into a quarantine for the first 14 days. And that's just for precautionary measures. We want to make sure that not only you're safe, but that all students, as they return back to the center, that they are safe, okay? So that's going to be number one. So we're working on the schedule. And I talked to Mr. BUDZYN today as it relates to how the schedule will look. Will it be a full day of training? Because we got to understand that there's going to be some students that are still going to be in distance learning, because all the students are not going to be returning back at one time. So we're going to break it down as relates to those students coming back, you know, 2-week process, and then we'll bring in another group. So that is working out even as we speak, okay? And avenues like this is our first assembly. I definitely appreciate John and Shannon for going ahead and spearheading this and getting this together. And hopefully this will be a weekly thing. And I want you guys to definitely spread the word out so we can definitely get more participants to participate in this. We're also working on in terms of what the recreation activity is going to look like once the students return, because there are going to be limited in terms of off centers. We are definitely working on more on center activities, more activities on the center grounds. I do know that the cafeteria will be serving 3 meals a day back as normal, but how they're going to serve it and when they're going to serve it is going to be changing as it relates to the social distancing, okay? We're also looking at the residential department has already put together a plan. They have ordered brand new washer and dryers for all the dormitories, and those should be getting in here on center within the next couple of weeks. They have also ordered several lounge chairs for the dormitories in terms of the lounges. So you're going to be looking at having new lounge furniture and also brand new washers and dryers as they come in as you return back to the center. The records department, they're the ones that are working on who and when should the students return back, okay? We have an outline plan, you know, approximately, and this is not written in stone just of yet, 24 students at a time, okay? So we can really give time for those 24 students to come through the program, have a week where we sanitize that quarantine area again, and then bring in another 24 students, or even we can up the number as we see that we're working things out. So I just want to give you a heads up. I'm excited about this format. It's definitely new to me. I'm learning a lot. I know you guys have been going through a lot of things with everything that's going on with the pandemic and other things that's happening all around the world. I encourage each and every one of you, to be focused, to remain focused. You have staff that really, really, truly care about you and that we want the best, and we're wanting you to return. We are ready and excited for the students to return. I do know that academics is working on a welcome plan in terms of some activities and some welcoming plans so when the students return back. So we're excited about that. And I just want to just give you just a brief update. We'll finalize the plan on Friday, and we'll get that plan over to DOL. And we'll definitely get some letters out so you guys can know exactly what is going to be the expectations as it relates to when you guys return back to the center. Is there any questions? I'm not able to see any of the comments, but if there's any questions for me, I'll answer them to the best of my ability, and we can definitely move forward.
I don't see anything in the question in the chat box. Give me 1 second just to verify.
Okay.
Mr. Collins says that you should change and take your you should check your smoke alarms.
My smoke alarm.
The beeping
Yeah.
noise in the background,
Why you say that?
because it's chirping. Usually they do that when the batteries are low.
Yeah, and you know what? The one that's really low, it's I got to get the maintenance guy to come and get it because I can't reach it. So he's going to come tomorrow morning.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he'll be in the morning.
So we do have a couple of questions that did come in. We can either do them now or we can do them on the question and answer phase because we do have one of those.
Whatever you guys decide on that, I just want to just kind of give a brief little summary of what's going on. And I just wanted them to know that we're definitely working with them in mind and that we're working hard. I mean, it has been a change for everybody. And I just want every student to understand that we understand your struggles, because even the staff has been struggling as it relates to getting accustomed to this. We're used to students being in our presence. You know, the teachers are used to hands-on connection with the students. You know, the SGA, the CPP. So I just wanted to let the students know that definitely we're in this together. So, you know, anything that you guys need from us, please let us know, okay? That's all I have for right now, Johnny.
Okay. So the questions that you guys put in the chat box, we do have a question and answer session at the end of the slideshow. And a couple of these, I know that a lot of you are going to have the same question. So Jonathan, I'm not ignoring you. We're just going to answer that one at the end. Christian or Jacob Glover asked a question, Mr. Johnson, that I think is pertinent to the update section.
Okay.
Might be able to help us out with this one right now. But how is it going to work for the dorms and social distancing?
Well, we are working on it right now, and I'm just letting you guys know the male suite 5 everybody will be housed over there because those rooms are single rooms and those rooms have bathrooms in it, okay? So the first 14 days, all those students that come in, they will be assigned 12 females ideally and 12 males ideally. They will be assigned to their own room for the first 14 days. And once that is done, the students will be transitioning over into quote unquote their assigned dormitory. And right now, with the number of students coming in, students will be in the room by themselves. And as the numbers increase, we will definitely add students to those rooms at that time. And hopefully that answers. So the first 2 weeks, all students will be in male suite 5, 1 room, 1 student per room.
Perfect. So I think, so there's some suggestions and some thoughts in the comments. We will get to those, I think, at the end because they're a little bit more pertinent towards the end of the session. So Christian, I see your comments. I will say that the quarantine phase, we will have a quarantine phase. That's unfortunate, but we will have to. That's based on Department of Labor. So keep putting the questions in the chat box. My gosh, my brain just does not work right now. Keep putting your questions in the chat box, and we'll keep scrolling up. And Miss Shannon is going to help us out and do the next section here. Miss Shannon, do you want to kick it off with the weekly? I don't know what kind of a cool name you came up with, because I sure didn't come up with anything. Did I lose Miss Shannon? What happened to Miss Shannon? You're on mute, Miss Shannon.
Miss Shannon, we can't hear you.
I'm sitting here talking. You know that, right?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Did you come up with a better name than I did? Because obviously mine is just kind of eh.
All right. Anyways, it's a generic name. It's Student of the Week. But what this is it's your instructors, they want to celebrate you, and we want to celebrate you. So this is for our Students of the Week, and we'll present those now and also send you your copy of via email. We'll send you your certificate. So if you want to get started, John. All right, so our first Student of the Week is Ali. I'm going to butcher her name, Arachigo, from Miss Julie Wallace's class. Yay, Ali! Woo! Okay,
Yeah.
next.
There you go. Hey, look at that.
Alan Porter from Mr. Z. Yay! Alan. Okay, cool. All right, next. I'm totally going to butcher this name too, but from CNA, Paul Managiri. Yay, Paul. Okay.
Pretty close. Probably better than I did.
Did I get it right?
I have no clue.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Next. From Miss Shemaines and Culinary Arts, Corey Rao. Yay.
Nice job.
Next.
We're getting hand claps in the chat bar, just so you know.
That's awesome. From Miss Dawn, we have Genevieve Ingebeyer. Yay.
Ingabire.
Oh, Ingabire.
And the only reason why I know that is because I interviewed her for the BISON Insider, and I purposely asked her how to say her last name because I just butchered it every single time.
I know. I butcher a lot of names. Sorry. Okay, let's go next.
Sorry, I didn't.
Miss Hannah Keller from Welding. Yay, Hannah. Okay, next. Jonathan Moore from Yay, Jonathan.
Nice.
Okay, next. Maxwell Palmer from Miss A's class. Woo!
Ooh, Max.
And Miss Breen also selected Paul Managiri once again. So big round of applause to those students who were selected as Student of the Week. And I apologize, my dog is now yelling at me.
We have a couple more, I believe, Miss.
Oh, we do? Oh my God, why did I think that was the last? Okay, I'm so sorry. Miss Hyatt, Robin Bear Ribs. Yay, Robin. Mr. Madrid, and Abraham Wright. Yay, Abraham.
Boy, he is not happy.
That's the girl.
Miss Shannon, can you please let your dog out or something?
Well, they just came in. She's a puppy.
Winifred. What do you mean?
And Miss Brown out of CPP, She nominated Alexis Michael. I got that name right. I would have butchered it. Yay. Is there anybody else? Oh, here's
No.
Minnie. Oh, dear. Okay. Come here, baby. So congrats to everyone. And this is the troublemaker. She just likes to be held. She thinks she's a baby.
Cute dog.
Yeah.
Now
Two
please
basset
give it up
hounds.
for Sarah.
All right.
All right. So, who's ready for a little bit of trivia? Anybody?
Not me.
All right. So, I believe how we're going to try and do this is if you guys can go to your layout and change your layout to tile view. Now I'm trying to figure this out myself on my phone, and I'm not sure that I can. Whoa, that's not nice. What is going on? Sorry, guys. You'll have to. I'm trying to do this on 3 different screens. So there is a button where you can adjust to see tile view. And if you do a tile view, we should be able to basically see you. So Miss Shannon, Mr. Harold, they're going to help me with actually being able to see everything. I cannot see this for some reason. I can't figure out how to change this. Miss Shannon, are you able to see everybody on the tile view?
I am able to see the majority. Let me hang on one sec.
Because I sure can't. Unless I do this a different way. Jonathan, there should be a button down at the bottom of the screen, 3 little dots. If you click on that, it's a vertical 3 little dots. If you click on that, and it should say change camera view. If you're doing it on a phone, I don't think your phone has the capability because I can't get it to do it online. So, eh.
So,
If you're doing it on a phone, I don't think you can do it. I think it's only computers only. So if we can't do it on the tile view, let's just do it this way. Whenever I ask a question, if you think you know the answer, first person to put something in the chat box, we'll try to find the right person. So Miss Shannon, you'll have to really help me and watch the chat box because I'm going to be reading and doing 2 things at once. So if you think you know the answer, type hi or something in there so that we know that you have the answer, so that we can say, yep, that person's got the answer. We'll call on you, or Miss Shannon will tell me who the first person is. Christian Maury has got this bell. I mean, that's a great thing if everybody can find that really quick, because I can't. We'll get you to answer the question. So we're going to go to the first question. These are I will give you a forewarning. These questions are a mixture of known questions some things that you should know from the center, and some additional bonus questions and some fun questions. It might pertain to the BISON Insider series, so hopefully you guys have seen those. So, all right, first question. Who can name at least 3 items that are on the unauthorized goods list, or basically something that you cannot have on center or shouldn't have on center? Well, that was pretty easy. Christian Maury. Definitely. No, don't type the answer, Alan. I just want you to say, hey, I know the answer. Christian Maury answers.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, Christian. Can you unmute yourself?
Alcohol, drugs, weapons.
alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Okay. Anybody else give me, let's see here. I think I said, I saw Jonathan Moore. Can you give me 3 more? I don't know if you can unmute yourself and you want to. No? Okay. Jacob Glover,
Who are
can
you
you?
talking to?
Oh,
Put the unmute.
can't unmute yourself. Okay. Jacob Glover, how about 3 more?
I mostly just thought of drugs, weapons, and alcohol.
Okay. Okay. Alan Porter, you got 3 others that aren't alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Well, you probably couldn't get anybody else to cheat in there, so that's probably author is good if you're thinking about it. I'm also guessing rated R movies and rated M game, depending on the game.
Possibly. So here's a list of all the items that we cannot have on center. So if you guys are off, make sure you mute yourself after you answer. So here's the list. Somebody's still muted. Firearms and ammunition, explosives, knives, homemade weapons, drugs, stolen property, alcohol, pornographic material, all this kind of stuff. This is all stuff that whenever we say, hey, everybody, it's time to come back on the center, make sure that you check your bags and you don't bring this stuff back. Oh, I
have a question.
Alan, hold on, please. Gracie, I apologize. I missed you. I will get you on the next question when you know it. You'll be the first one. I totally missed you. Yes, Colin, to answer your question, engagement hours. Alan, what's your question?
So I just recently acquired some metal cups. They're like, here, I'll get one to show you, okay? Just a sec.
Let's hold that question. He's gone probably. I can't see him, so.
These are what they look like. Can you see it?
I physically cannot, so.
Oh, hold up.
No.
No, my camera's on.
Okay, Alan, hold on. I'm trying to change some things around here. Your camera's not on. I can't see you. So
My camera's on.
hold your question. Hold those things. Okay. I can give you an answer in a few minutes, but I think we need to kind of keep on trucking here. Otherwise, we're gonna end up running out of time. My brain just stopped working. Question 2. Sorry. From the very first BISON Insider episode, what fear did Mr. BUDZYN overcome?
I have no idea because I did not watch it.
Alan, mute, unless you know the answer and we call upon you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody know? No idea, Gracie? Come on. You guys didn't watch the BISON Insider, did you? Very first BISON Insider. How about the staff?
To be fair, it was 17 minutes long.
I will agree with you. I learned, just as we're doing here, I learned from my mistakes, and I did not make the rest of them that long. So, any of the staff remember what fear Mr. BUDZYN overcame? Well, that wasn't very nice, Alan. Fear of change? It was close, Christian. Close. It was the fear of heights. Specifically, he told a story about the fact that he was afraid of heights, and in order to overcome them, he decided to go on the highest roller coaster, and now he's exactly Cedar Point. Miss Erin got it, 100%. All right. Question number 3. This is another center question. Anybody name at least 4 of the career success standards? Waiting to see if anybody can. Any of the four, at least four of the career success standards. If you can name one. No, Alan, it's not time management, but hey, Mr. Johnson got one, independent living. That is definitely one. You're close, Gracie. You're close. There's a few more words that are connected with that. Organization, Alan, is a part of one of them, but I'm getting a communication. Hey, look at that, Miss Aaron. All right, so I'm gonna have to help you guys out. So workplace relationships and ethics, that's the one that Gracie was trying to talk about. Personal growth and development, career and personal planning, multicultural awareness, interpersonal skills, independent living, communications, and information management. I think that's all 8 of them. Yep, I counted right. Okay, good. All right, so question 4, we're gonna move on. Let's see here. What is this question? From the BISON Insider Series, is Mr. Brown a right TWIX guy or a left TWIX guy? I would hope that Mr. Brown could answer this one. Mr. Brown, are you still on? Ambidextrous. And Mr. Parcell got it correct. Mr. Joseph Parcell got it correct. He said the right TWIX. And then he said, well, I've never really thought about it, so I guess it's the right because I always pick it up with my right hand. Did you guys know that there was a difference between a right and a left? Probably not. All right. Going to move on to question number 5. What are the 4 phases of Job Corps? There's really technically 5, but I'm only going to concentrate on 4. Christian Maury, first one, you can unmute yourself and say it. I like to hear people's voices.
Okay, so there's CPP, the career preparation period. There's the career training period, development period, sorry. And then the transition period, and then after that is just living your life, I guess.
You're pretty close. The first one is a little bit different than CPP.
Oh, it's like the application period.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct. Absolutely. So the 4 phases: admissions, career preparation, career development, and career transition. And again, like I said, there is technically 5 because there is one, it's called exit, except for, you know, that's part of the career transition phase. So we're going to move right along. Christian Maury, I think, is in the lead with like 2 or 3 points or something, you know. So if we were counting points, this is kind of like whose line is it anyway, where the point, you know, points don't matter or something. I don't know.
We should be able to do improv then.
Well, that's kind of what this is. This next one. From the BISON Insider Series, who is Mr. Scott's favorite superhero? Not Batman, not Superman either. I don't know what eyelips eye mean. Ooh, Jacob Glover was the first one to put it in the chat box. Spider-Man is correct. So we're going to move on to question number 7. Name at least 2 things you need to do before you can complete the Job Corps program. Looking for some people's. Jacob Glover, I saw you first. If you can unmute yourself, I like to hear people's voices. Get a little interactivity going.
You need your high school diploma, and you need the certificate in whatever trade you're going into.
Perfect. Those are good 2 of them. Anybody else name 2 more? Christian has a bell up.
Apart from the trade that you need, you also need to be able to apply and find a job, as well as make sure that you have a place to live.
All very good answers. You are all correct. However, there's one more that we often forget, and that's to get your TABE gains. I know that that's a kind of a pain point, and everybody's like, "Oh," but it's still part of it, right?
I do have a question regarding that.
Okay.
Is the TABE needed to pass before you can graduate Job Corps? Like you have to TABE out of it before you can complete the program?
Miss Dawn, I believe, is on the line. Can you answer that a little bit clearer than I can?
So we don't require you to actually TABE out, but you do need to make your TABE gains. That is the requirement.
Thank you, Miss Dawn. Because my answer is like 5 million things long, and I can't, yeah. I don't know if I could explain it as well as she just did. You'll have to pardon me. I'm moving some things around. I had to plug my phone in. All right, so on to question number 8. We have, who did Mr. Turnbull choose to punch him in the face for an unlimited amount of money? This is again from the BISON Insider series. Anybody have an idea?
Hint, somebody's sleeping on
Can
the
you
couch.
repeat the question? Can you repeat the trivia question, please? I was responding in the comments.
Yeah, so the question is, who did Mr. Turnbull choose to punch him in the face for an unlimited amount of money?
Oh, punch him. I thought you meant him punching somebody else.
No, Miss Shannon.
Oh. Yeah, that's why somebody would be sleeping on the couch. Never mind.
I'd punch someone for money.
Anybody know? Nobody knows? Well, Mr. Turnbull said his wife.
I think it's pretty safe to say that a woman hitting a man, it's not going to be, if it's me, it's not going to be hard.
Well, you know, my first thought and my question to him whenever we were going through that question was why not pick one of your daughters, because they're can't hit at all. So, you know. All right, so question number 9. I believe this is an easy question, so get ready for your get ready on the chat box here. What is the center's main phone number? Mr. Moore, type it. I know you can't unmute yourself, so type it in the chat box if you can.
Hello. The main phone number for it is, let me see. Here it is. Ready?
Go ahead.
701
Okay.
857
Correct.
9600.
Awesome. So, why did I put that question in there? Well, because if you need some assistance or you need some questions answered, or if you can't get a hold of somebody, you can always dial that number, hit extension 0. It takes you to security, and they can patch you through to anybody that they have numbers for. So if you need to talk to Mr. Johnson, if you need to talk to Miss Shannon, if you need to talk to myself, if you're looking for Miss Dawn, anybody else, if you type in that number and you hit the send button and you get them on the line, it's going to go through an automated voice thing. Don't hit number 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Hit 0. It goes to security, and as soon as you get the security officer on the phone, and they say, yeah, something I can do for you, or welcome to Burdick Job Corps, thanks for calling. And you just say, hi, I'm looking for Mr. Johnson. Can you help me connect to him? And they will either patch you through to his office phone if he's on center, or they might patch you through to his cell phone, depending on what's going on. So it is a very useful tip and a very useful hint. So question number 10. What pizza topping did Jonathan Moore believe should never be on a pizza? All right, Mr. Moore, I'm gonna let you say this, even though Gracie got it right too, and Alan.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. And
Pineapple.
a bonus question for you: who actually suggested that pineapple be on a pizza?
Who? I don't know, and I do
A
not
heathen?
want to know. A person that has a list.
Heathens.
The person that actually suggested that pineapple should be on a pizza is myself, because pineapple is one of my favorite toppings. And yes, it is a topping. All right.
I'm gonna mute myself before I say something stupid.
Okay. Well, pineapple is the correct answer. Look at my lovely pineapple there. He's cute. All right. Question 11. This is a bonus question, guys. Who said wearing jeans all the time was genetic? And no, it was not me. Great, Christian.
I don't know, but I just wanted to say it sounds like something I'd say.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. No, Alan, it was not a redneck. Good try, though, sir. Mr. Gary Brown got it correct. He said Kane Whitworth. That is the correct answer. Mr. Kane Whitworth, during our interview with him and myself, he said he would rather wear jeans because he wears them all the time. And then he stopped for a second and blurted out, he just feels like it's genetic. And no, that was not me. So, question number 12. This is the last question, just to let you know. And we will go into our question and answer phase momentarily after this question. So, the next question is, what did the ocean say to the sailboat?
Nothing, it just waved. Oh, my bad, I didn't wait. I'm sorry.
Took the steam out of me. Gosh.
You can't say that. I love jokes. Come on now.
So, if you guys haven't noticed, every single Bison Insider episode ends with a bad joke because that's who I am. And I don't really care, to be completely honest, because I love them. And that's just who I am. So, we are going to go to the question and answer phase for this lovely evening. And I'm going to take this screen off, and I'm just going to change back to, don't save. I'm going to change back to stop sharing so we can actually all see each other and when we have a conversation. That way, if you guys have questions, I want you guys to be able to ask the questions. So if you have a question, let's go back. I'm going to go back in the chat box to some of these questions that were way up here in the top. Let me get to them. Give me 1 second. How would I do that, puppy? Okay, hold on. I'm getting closer. All right. Getting there. Sorry. You'll have to give me a second, guys. I'm scrolling back through. So, Christian Moore, you had said a personal recommendation, up the number of students coming in quarantine phase for 2 weeks. So one of the things that we are doing is that, let me do this. So one of the things that is in our plan is that there will be a quarantine phase for when you guys return. And that's just to keep you guys safe. That's nothing more than just keeping you safe. So as far as the number, Mr. Johnson, I don't know if we want to share that information or if we're still not 100% on the number.
May I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I had heard talk about it, but I also know that nothing is set in stone. But I really think that, because I don't know how everything is going in North Dakota with the case numbers and all of that, but I know that here in South Dakota, at least, it's still pretty bad, and I don't know if, how much protesting was done in North Dakota, but I would recommend bringing out-of-state people in first and letting them quarantine, just because I know that the cases here in Sioux Falls, where I am in South Dakota, are still very, they're pretty high. It's not flattening very much at all, especially after the protests.
So I'm gonna let Mr. Johnson help me out with this answer, just because I want to make sure that you guys are hearing it from
Well, one thing that we have here at Burdick, we have the luxury of having an extra building. We have a building where we can house 24 students. Most centers do not have that. And, you know, the guys' dorm or the male dormitory do not have bathrooms in their rooms. So we started off with the number of 24 as a starting point. And once those 24 students go through the 2 weeks, the center will get back together and we will look at the pros and cons every 3 weeks. And then we will determine, are we ready to allow more students to come in? Based on, that's why it's going to be so critical. And I've said this to the center, and I just want to say it to the students, we don't want to have a misstart here, or misstep. We want to make sure that you guys are not coming into chaos. We want to make sure you're coming into an environment where that 24 number is manageable for us right now. And as the 2 weeks progress, we will get back to the table and we will make a decision. Now, can we now house more students? Is the cafeteria capable now of feeding more students? And that'll be every 3 weeks time period. We want as many students can come back as possible, but we want to really, on this first group, and maybe the second group, we want to really be cautious and err on the side of caution here. So we won't have a misstep, so we won't have any student coming back. We're working on the testing. Mr. BUDZYN is working on that to see if we can get free testing for all students. We're not sure on that as of yet. So those are the things that we really want to make sure that is in place. We have ordered masks for students, you know, black and maroon masks. We got the disposable masks. So all of those things are on order as a precautionary, so when you guys come back. And so that's what we're waiting on as it relates to those PPEs, so we can make sure that we have all our ducks in a row, okay? And as we progress, the number will increase based on, and we gotta think about it, we have 116 staff. So staff is gonna be coming back in waves. And we're going to try to get staff back at least 2 weeks. Mr. BUDZYN did announce that this week, at least 2 weeks prior to the students coming back, so the staff can be trained on all of the new information that's coming out now, so we can be better prepared, because we don't want to start off wrong at all. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
So if anybody has any questions at the moment, if you guys want to just, you know, say something in the chat box so that I can call on you. I want to make sure I didn't miss something above here as I was looking through. Hi, Miss Shannon. Let's see here. Gracie, something that you were talking about, who's going to be coming back first and who's going to be coming back and how we're going to do that. That's part of the plan that we're putting together that Mr. Johnson is talking about. Those are all factors that we have to put in place and look at as a whole to figure out who's going to be the first ones back, you know, what the situations are in your home state as well as everywhere else, just to kind of figure out how we're going to do this and how we're going to do it best to serve you guys, not us, you guys. So I don't know that I have the permission to share any of that information because I don't know that it's been completely settled on. So I don't want to really put something out there and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. And then you guys are like, well, it didn't happen this way. Mr. John's a liar. That's not the case. It's just a matter of, I don't want to speak out of turn. So.
Can I make a recommendation based on the statement that Gracie made in the comments? She recommended that those in abusive situations in their home lives go home first, and I think that's actually a really excellent idea. But sometimes it can be difficult over the phone to, you know, ask that type of question. And it's, you know, it's not necessarily something that would be maybe known beforehand or written down even, because there are so many students and it's hard to, you know all of that. I would like to recommend maybe like during the communication with these students, maybe to like have like a secret word, like say over the phone, like, hey, if you're, in trouble at home and you really need to come back to center right away, say pineapple or something like that.
Though, guys, those are great ideas because there's many scenarios that we've worked on. We worked on those that may be in some darn living situations. So your point is very well taken. We have many scenarios. We've even talked about bringing those students back that may be in some living situations that may cause some damage or what have you. And we've talked about bringing some leaders back with the group, so those leaders can help, support those that are still off and in that connectivity. We've looked at what areas may be a hot spot for the COVID-19 to get those students out of that environment and up to where we are. So Kristen, your points are very well taken, and we have many scenarios as it relates to how Miss Brittany in records, she's working on that. She has a work group that we meet every Friday, and this will be the final one this Friday, so we can submit those recommendations. So those are points well taken. Thank you so much.
Mr. Moore, I believe you had a question.
I do actually. How will we get paid?
So I actually specifically checked on that today because I knew that a couple of people have reached out to some of us staff, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. So currently speaking, there are a couple of different things that are going on. So right now we are mailing out the paper checks to you guys every single time you get paid. One of the things that you have to remember is that you have to be home. You have to sign for that because we're giving you a check and we're making sure that it's coming to you. You have to actually physically sign for it. If you have a post office box and it's being sent to the post office, 9 times out of 10, it is coming from UPS. So meaning the little brown truck is coming to your house and dropping off a letter or whatever the case is. They will actually walk up to the door, knock on the door and say, hey, I need you to sign for this. They'll have you sign for it. If you're not home, they're going to leave you a note on the door that says, hey, you need to come to this location and pick up this parcel of mail because you have to sign for it. So what's happening is a lot of times is that UPS is delivering it. Nobody's home. Nobody answers the door. And it goes to that holding facility and nobody comes to pick it up. They wait for a certain amount of days and then they send it back to us. We get a hold of we get it. We say, okay, what's going on? We get a hold of the counselors. We get a hold of the students and we say, okay, what is your address? We verify your address. We resend it. So there's usually like a 24-hour to 48-hour lag time in between once we get it back and we send it back out. The other thing that we are currently working on is we are working on getting you guys pay cards so that your pay would go electronically onto a card that goes straight to that. They are still working on that aspect of it. We're waiting on some physical inventory for that to come in, and we are waiting on the company that we are using at the moment for those items. So those are things that are still in the works and they're still coming, but for now, you are getting paper checks. So if you're not getting it, there's a good possibility either A, we don't have a good address for you, or B, they've tried to deliver it and it went to a holding facility. So Jonathan, if you have not gotten your checks, we need to verify that we have the correct address for you, and then we need to verify that how we're sending it. So
Sorry about that, but I have been getting paid except for this last paycheck. It was on my fault because I was planning on moving. But for me, I already have a credit card. I don't need to use you guys' paid card. So I was wondering, how will we get paid back on center?
So the pay card is going to be the same. So from what I understand, we're going to use that pay card. And that just is bringing it into the 21st century. Instead of having you guys do paper copy or wait in line, because the lines, I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a like a COVID-19 virus going on, so the lines are like spaced out, and you know, sorry, I was trying to make a joke, it didn't work. Miss Shannon's laughing, so that's okay. So the pay cards, the reason why we're doing a pay card the way we're doing it is because it's difficult for Job Corps to just take your money and deposit it into another location that's not connected. So this one place that we're doing it as a hub. So basically we say, hey, we're putting X amount of dollars on each of these students' cards, and this is where it's going, and it drops into that card, and it's there, and they do that work for us. We can't necessarily give it to you on a different card or direct deposit it there, because it's just there's too many things that can go wrong, and we're not an actual bank, nor do we have an actual bank that we're partnered with. We're using a third-party service. So I know that that's kind of a pain point for a lot of people, because they want people to say, you know, hey, I already have my account and all this kind of stuff. But this is our best way of bringing us into the 21st century. And it's also one of those things where it allows you as the student, when you get paid, you actually have a card that has your money on it that you can go to anywhere and walk into the gas station, buy a drink, and you can swipe your card, you know, just like having your own account. So I'm hoping, I hope that I'm answering your question to, you know, that's satisfying your question, Jonathan.
Yes, I was just wondering if it's possible to transfer money from the pay card to an actual account, not a Job Corps account, because I'm worried when people do leave Job Corps, will that bank will be obsolete, and how would they transfer money to their account?
You know, that's a really good question, Jonathan. And you know what I'll do is I will research that and find that information out for you, and I will let you know as soon as I have a good answer. If memory serves me correctly, that is possible. However, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right information. So I will do some double checking, and it might be tomorrow afternoon before I can get back to you, but I will send you an email and I will let you know.
Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Purcell, I believe you had a question. And Alan, I see your hand, so just hold on to your question, Alan. I think you're on mute, Joseph. Let me see if I can find you and unmute you. I don't know if I can, I can't unmute you. Oh, you were just cleaning your camera. Okay. Well, did you have a question for us, sir? I lost my.
Joseph had a question.
Okay, I have a question. When we come back from when done coronavirus 19, when will we come back? What month? What date we come back? I just want to wonder.
We don't have a specific date at the moment. So I know that is one of those questions that everybody, I knew that was one of the questions that we're going to get a lot of. So we're working on a date. We are trying to solidify a date. If I was to tell you right now that I could give you a date, I would be lying, because we don't have one. We have a thought in process. We have a date that we're thinking might work, but there's also, like Mr. Johnson was talking about earlier, there's a lot of factors, you know, with like personal protective equipment that we have to get. There's a lot of factors that we have to make sure we have on center to keep you guys safe before we can say, here's the solid date and here's what's going on. So as soon as we do know, there will be like massive floods of emails, information notices, BISON Insider episodes with special updates. Like, there will be everywhere. We will probably even call you 1,000 times and say, hey, did you get the date? Did you get the date? So
should we just assume that we'll be coming back sometime in the fall?
Yeah, that's what I wonder about that too.
Mr. Johnson, I don't know if you want to help me out.
Well, as John stated, there has been a tentative date that is set, and what we have to do, we have to make sure that that we're prepared. I think we are 85% there. Speaking this week on Monday with all the directors, with Mr. BUDZYN, we're about 85% there. Mr. BUDZYN has a date in mind. We don't want to put a date out there. We want to make sure that everything that we have stated that we're supposed to do in terms of the guideline, we have received a guideline, so we have to follow the guideline that we have received. And I don't want to put a date out. Hopefully next week we will have a better answer with that, because I just don't want to send out the wrong information or give the wrong message. That was part of some email traffic today, that we want to make sure that when we say a date, that all the students across the board and every staff is aware that this is the date and it's concrete and it's set. So be prepared for your return. We're ready for you guys to come back. Trust me, we are. We're ready to get back to work. Business is not going to be as usual, but we're ready for you guys to come back just as much as you guys are ready to come back. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. We miss you guys, and I know, especially those of us that is accustomed to working with students, interacting with students, we miss that. And your teachers miss it, your counselors miss it, your RAs, all the staff on center. So once that date comes, Joseph, you guys are going to be one of the first to know. And we definitely, when we get that date, you trust us that we're going to be prepared to receive the students, okay? So hopefully next week we'll have better answer as we progress with these assemblies.
And our
Okay, hopefully we can get better, and hopefully when we come back to Job Corps, we'll take a finger crossed for all the students, all the teachers, staff. Finger crossed, well, hopefully we come back.
Same here, Joseph. Thank you for that.
Alan, did you have a
You're
question?
welcome.
No, I did not. I was commenting on something that popped up on YouTube.
Okay. Arlette, Jonathan, I saw your chat. Arlette, I totally get where you're coming from as far as maneuvering things around. But as Mr. Johnson was saying, we just don't, we can't give you a date at the moment. But trust me, whenever we say that as soon as we do know a date, we will give you guys ample time to get ready and get things situated. Yeah, I mean, we're working as feverishly as possible to try and get the information out to you guys, but we also don't want to say one thing and then it doesn't happen, and then it makes us look horrible that we didn't complete what we said we were going to do. So our like one of the things that I'm big on, and I know Mr. Johnson's big on, I know Ms. Shannon is, and some of the other staff on here, when we say something, we want our word. We expect our word to be taken, because that's how we live. So I don't want to say something that's out of turn and give you a date and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen. So I totally understand where you're coming from, Arlette. Jonathan, you said you had a question.
I do. This is my last one. It's about the computers.
Okay.
You see here, I don't know what day they will be coming in, or even if we'll be coming in, because a lot of 95% of my class is on. I have to use a computer, but I'm stuck with a phone. Yep.
And I knew that question was going to come up too. Ms. Shannon and I talked about that, and I think Mr. Johnson and I talked about that too. We kind of knew the three main questions that were going to come up tonight, and we were kind of prepared for that. So one of the things that Department of Labor is working on is they're working on purchasing Chromebooks. They're working on it. I can't give you a specific date because that date has changed 5 different times in the last 2 weeks, literally. I've heard several different times, hey, we're going to have them out this time, we're going to have them out this time, and they keep changing and adjusting. And that's because there is a massive procurement that has to happen. So they have to purchase these things from authorized vendors. They have to make sure that the tablets or the computers or the laptops or whatever they're getting, I'm not even sure what they're getting, to be honest, are loaded with certain software that would allow you guys to do your work and do it efficiently and successfully. So when they're doing this, they're going through the procurement phase and they're looking at things and saying, okay, how do we do X, Y, and Z? How do we get this done? Who do we need to purchase from? Do we need to go straight to Google? Do we need to go straight to Microsoft? What's going on? So there are people way above my pay grade, like even further than Mr. Johnson's pay grade, and he's up there, you know, that are working on this thing. They are trying to get these things out as fast as humanly possible and not miss anybody. There have been talks about multiple different rounds of it. So like one round would come out first and they would purchase more and they would send out another round. So there's a lot of things coming. It's just a matter of, I can't put a solid date on it because they haven't given us a solid date because it's changed. So I don't even want to begin to even tell you what date. I was on a phone call this morning or this afternoon, listening in on the national office call, and they gave yet another date for those computers. So they're working on it feverishly. They're trying to get it, help you guys out. It's just, we're waiting on the purchase. That's really what it is. I hope that kind of answers your question and it doesn't frustrate you, because I know it frustrates me whenever it's like, oh, well, you guys don't have any answers. We do have answers. It's just we can't solidify the answers because it's just so, there's so many things that are so flexible and so many moving parts that it's hard to nail down.
I understand. I completely understand.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to take this like an EA game. You don't know when it's going to out, and if there's always going to be those pushbacks.
There you go. That's definitely one way to look at it.
Can I make I guess a question out of this statement for staff check-ins that we're required to do?
Sure, go ahead.
Is there any possible way that there would be like a single like check-in sheet where one staff member would be able to make, you know, these maybe even like weekly check-ins with, you know, certain students that they're assigned with? Because when student phones and emails and everything get, you know, blown up by a bunch of different staff members trying to check in with us and everything, it can be a little bit overwhelming and exasperating because we've already, you know, done our check-ins, and it just can be a little bit frustrating when we have to continue to do those check-ins when it should have been, you know, documented that we were checked in with and everything is either on par or we are making progress to getting it on par.
I 100% hear you, and I am going to let Mr. Johnson talk on this specifically because he has been working on this exact same thing, and I don't want to take, because I don't know exactly everything he's doing. So Mr. Johnson, I know you can answer this question because you've spearheaded it.
I might recommend for staff a Google Docs where everyone can edit and say who they checked in with and when, so that other staff members may not have to do that.
Thank you so much again, Kristen. You're hired. I tell you, very good question. Just last week, what we did is we made 21 groups. We have 180 plus students, okay? And we did look at a student communication list, and we assigned students to staff. There's 21 groups or so, with about 8 to 9 students per group. And we also assign them according to trade. For instance, or for example, Mr. Johnson would have 8 students that is in CNA. He is responsible once a week to call that students or those 8 students, check in with those students, see if there's any issues or any concerns, if there's anything that needs help with for the distance learning, is there anything going on, and they are supposed to document that. We just started that Wednesday, so hopefully as this week move forward, we just started it last week, as this week move forward, you're going to start getting less calls, because that was part of the problem about 4 weeks ago when everybody was calling It was a little overwhelming for our students. We wanted to make sure on this end that we was contacting the students. But then on the flip side, the students were getting 5 and 6 calls per day. So we do have a plan that has been put in place with all residential advisors, the SPO, Ms. Shannon, and there's a total of 21 plus groups that will now be calling students once a week. Now, they are to collaborate with your trade because those groups are set up by trade, okay? So if you in CNA and you're part of my group, I will collaborate with your instructor. What assignments? What do you need from my students that are on my list this week so I can articulate that to my students? So what we're trying to do is narrow the focus and not just doing robocalls, because that's what was upsetting me. We was just doing robocalls and we wasn't not making connections. So hopefully with this system, the eight students that are assigned to each staff will give an opportunity to build relationship and build connection. And then each week you will know who will be calling you, what time they may be calling you. You know, if I got you on my list, I should be calling you, according to you, every Tuesday at a certain time so I can check in. So that's the goal, okay? So point very well taken, and we definitely appreciate that. That just started last Wednesday, so hopefully you'll see a better result as we progress this week, okay?
Thank you for that. I think another thing during these check-ins that might be good is instead of asking maybe a whole big old list of questions, I would stick with the basics like physically and mentally, are you doing okay? Have you been able to make even a little bit of progress in what you're doing? And what can the staff do to help a student, like that particular student they're checking in with, and like what questions do you have? Like, I think the minimal amount of, stuff like that would be probably for the best, because if we have questions that we need answers to, we are, obviously going to ask them. I think that when it comes to things that aren't set in stone, just trying to keep in mind that the students are, young adults, and we are capable of staying, professional if we're being kept in the loop. We just want to be, on the same page as everyone, even if it's not set in stone. We want to kind of, if we're able to, know what's being discussed and kind of have our input heard, not just by the staff on center, but also kind of by like the big cheeses, like if there was a way to put student feedback to the higher ups, I feel like things could maybe, be better for the students that way.
And this is why we chose this format also, okay? This is one of the reasons John Shannon put this format together, so we can start connecting on a whole nother level with our students, to get that feedback, that instant feedback from you as students. So this is why we have set up this assembly, and hopefully we will have it weekly. So the questions that you guys are asking right now, that we can answer those questions on next week. So your points are very well taken, and we very well appreciate it. Have you received a call from anybody this week, Kristen?
I have, yes.
Okay. How many calls have you received?
I had one that I was unable to answer and was left a voicemail on because I was at work. I've also received a couple more, and I've been keeping in contact with Miss Candy because I've been trying to get my work done while also working a full-time job to make ends meet.
And we applaud you for that. And I thank you for all that you've done and all that you brought to this assembly today. Okay. And you are the shining star today. And I really appreciate your sincerity in regards to your questions. That lets me know that you're still connected with the center and you're concerned about the process and the progress that we're making. And I just want to reassure you on the behalf of Mr. BUDZYN and all the center staff that we're working diligently. We're trying to get this thing right for you, our students, because you are the #1 priority here. Okay, so we thank you so much for your input today.
I do appreciate that. I just feel particularly that I'm trying to make sure that as a collective, student voices are not just necessarily being heard, but suggestions and everything are doing their best to be implemented, because there is a lot of, unanswerable questions that students do have. And I know it can be frustrating on staff, and we appreciate y'all working so hard for us. It's just a little frustrating when, despite there not being any, solidified answers, that we don't really, learn what things are being discussed. Because I feel that if there were things being discussed that we would think, yes, this is a good idea, or no, it should be this way, I feel like that input is very valuable, because the students, they really, are the meat in the sandwich of Job Corps.
Chrissy, are you in leadership?
No, I put in an application, but then I rescinded it because I just wanted to get out of there pretty quick.
You are now.
We'll have a big voluntold. No, I'm just kidding. We'll connect later.
So I don't want to keep everybody forever and ever. I mean, if you guys have other questions or
I don't have a question, but if no one else does, I do have an announcement that I'd like to share. So we're going to do this. We're going to make this weekly, very much like the Monday morning assemblies. Only we're going to do it at a time that's a little bit more conducive. So we're not waking up and, rolling into the gymnasium before our coffee. So for the first 15 students, I'm sorry, staff, you're exempt from this, but for the first 15 students who log on to this meeting next week at this time, you'll receive a $10 gift card. Feel
Your
free
puppy
to
doesn't like that
spread-
she's exempt.
What?
Your puppy doesn't seem to like that she's exempt.
I know, she's an amp, but go ahead and pass this information on. I know a few people had to go. Don't sit on it, but then also really try to amp it up. Okay.
which is one reason why, if you notice when you guys came in, we started the meeting, I started the recording with the slides, kind of going with music playing in the background to kind of amp this whole thing up and kind of get it going. And I didn't start the recording until after that was all done, because if I was to put this on YouTube with that music on there, YouTube would kick it immediately, because obviously I'm using copyrighted information. So, and depending on, this is kind of, I'm assuming this is kind of going to be Miss Shannon's kind of thing. I'm just kind of helping kind of get things started, because, we need to get it done, so might as well do it. So, depending on how she wants to do it, if she wants my help again, then great. If not,
If you were to put it on YouTube, you could just use elevator music. That's not copyrighted.
That's very true, but gets so boring and so old,
Yeah.
That's why I like to throw in the wonky stuff, and to be completely honest, I really wanted Be Nice to be the last song right before we started, because I felt like it was perfect to the situations that are going on right now in the world. And we can all remember Be Nice. And it happens to be one of my favorite songs. So. Right, Jonathan. You're gonna have to wake up a little earlier than that to get me. I'm the king of dad jokes. 30 episodes of Bison Insider. If that hasn't proven to you that I know more dad jokes than anybody, I don't know what does. Speaking of Bison Insider, I'm still looking for students who want to participate. I'm still looking for staff who want to participate. Just send me an email, or go to the YouTube channel, or go to the whatever the case is. Send me a comment here, just so that you guys know. That way you see it. If you want to be on it, want to be a part of it, I'm still looking for people. I've exhausted a bunch of different stuff. And at the end of it, I do allow students to call another student out and be nominated for the next one. So students can do that. Staff get handpicked. I'm still waiting on Mr. Johnson to be my friend and actually come on. So maybe I'll convince him. And even Miss Dawn, I've tried to get Miss Dawn too, but she's not playing nice with me. Put him on the spot, All right. Well, anybody has anything else or nothing else or whatever the case is? Nothing?
Thanks, John and Shannon.
So you guys are good to go, and thank you very much. I appreciate the attendance. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to get like 3 people to show up, and it would be just me, Mr. Johnson, and Miss Shannon staring at each other going, oh, well, look at that. So I appreciate everybody that showed up to support the first virtual assembly. And yeah, anybody else has anything as we go, then yeah, I don't know.
I'd say it's been an hour and a half, and I think we're pretty much good.
And I appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stick around just in case anybody wants to say something after everybody leaves. I mean, I'm just going to hang out here for a few minutes. But otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording because I can.